This isn't just orange juice. It's 12:30. I'm just gonna remind everyone that the drinking age in Alberta is 18 and the rest of Canada is 19. But I said I would do this a few days ago. Here are some of the thoughts I've had on the fics I've read this year with little to no context for what the actual fic is. Starting off, when I started this Google Doc, I would put what time I finished the fics at. So on January 1st, the first fic I finished at 3 a.m. and I said do not wish to reread, gave kudos and wrecked it. But they broke up for 8 months and it hurt me so bad. The next fic I read, I finished at 5 a.m. I said do not want to reread, mostly just centered around the mpreg. Gave kudos because it was well written. The next fic I finished at 5:13 specifically. And then after that I finished one at 5:24. I want it to be known, on January 1st, I was recovering from having COVID. I don't know what the fuck I was doing being awake at 5 a.m. but here we are. And then on January 2nd, well again, I was recovering from fucking COVID. First fic I finished was at 4:50. The only fic I finished. I didn't finish any other fics that day. 4:50 in the morning. Girl, you were sick. Go to fucking bed. Oh my god. Being dyslexic and drunk is... Dear God, why did I read so many fanfictions on January 6th? Hang on. 12. I started at least 12 on January 6th. Did we have nothing better to do? Probably not. January 6th, the first fic I started, I DNF'd at 2:10 in the morning, and I just said the pacing was shit. The next fic, I finished at 2:30, and I said, thought it was PWP. It wasn't. It crammed in so much plot and was executed like a bullet fic, which is fine, but really not my vibe. What I find funny about this comment specifically is the fact that this is a private doc that I have not shared with anyone, but I'm so hesitant to be mean to fanfic writers that even in my own personal doc, I was not planning on showing to anyone, and now that I am sharing my thoughts on the fic, I'm not even sharing what the fic was. I'm hesitant to be mean. Girl. The next fic, I finished at 2:40, and I said, very sweet. Sapphic Stucky, my love. Next fic, I finished at 3:04 a.m. It's silly, mostly crack, was all I had to say. Again, am I surprised that this was what my sleep schedule was like in January? No, but it's still concerning to see it documented somewhere. The next fic I finished at 3:24, and it was PWP. We'll read again. Again, not surprised at my general sleep schedule, not surprised at the amount of PWP I read. Anyway, next fic, it was a PWP. I finished at 3:55 a.m. Why the fuck was I awake until almost 4? Probably past 4. What the hell was I doing on January 6th? On January 9th, I stayed up until 5 a.m. reading a stripper Bucky AU, apparently. Okay. Why the fuck was I up till 5 a.m. on January 9th? I'm not gonna share this one, but I think it's a bit silly. On January 23rd, I read 8 fics. The highlights of my thoughts on these fics include literally just a smiley face. Okay, wait. It's don't make a first fic. And I just wrote a smiley face next to it. The next one is just, ellipses. The fic after that just said, okay, ellipses. The next fic, I just said, And then a coherent thought about a fic I read on January 23rd. I said, God, the emotional damage, in all caps. I do wish, and I can't believe I'm saying this, ellipses, that there was more pregnant Bucky, ellipses. But you know, it's okay. Again, I find it very amusing that, again, I was hesitant to say this. I'm like, girl, private Google Doc. What is someone gonna hack into your Google Doc and see you saying, I kind of wish there was more pregnant Bucky. He's judging me. Fair. Same. The two Deadpool. Oh yeah, no, the Deadpool print I have is literally staring directly at me. I don't think you have a leg to stand on. I'm talking to a poster. Anyway, I gotta move on from that. And then another fic I started reading, the last fic I started reading on January 23rd, I said currently rereading and am absolutely devastated to find that the author, in all caps, deleted this work from AO3. I'm still sad that the author deleted this fic from AO3 because I really hoped it had an open ending, and I was really hoping that the author would eventually make more in the universe. 31st, and instead they deleted their entire AO3 account. On January 24th, fourth fic I read, I said ellipses. I had to DNF ellipses for now. Ellipses. It was too goddamn depressing. Real. Next one, I DNF'd and I said just ellipses. Ugh. They're just so OOC, it hurts. I don't know what it is with me and ellipses. I feel there is, in fact, an ellipses between like half of my complete sentences. I don't know. I don't even remember what this fic is. Maybe I'll check later. Damn. The next fic I said it's ABO and rated teen, which I think is a tragedy. But it was very sweet. Okay, girl. I have to work tomorrow, by the way. I'm doing great. I make great decisions. The next fic I read, I just said the pacing was non-existent. After that, I just said I kind of wish it was longer. But looks like, out of the 9 fics I started on January 24th, I DNF'd 2. One of them I was sad because it was AVO and rated teen. One of them, the pacing was non-existent, and another one of them I wish was longer. So I was unsatisfied with 5 out of 4 of them. January 24th was a rough day for fics for me, apparently. On January 30th, the first fic I read, I just said, oh my, in all caps, God! The next fic I read, I just said ellipses. Well, ellipses. That leads me to believe it was a questionably smutty fic. I feel as though that is just the nature of my thoughts when I read some questionable smut. Questionable as in, if I were to explain this to a good chunk of people, they would be like, girl, get therapy. And then on January 31st, the first fic I read, I said, asterisk, sigh, asterisk. This is, in all caps, not what I was looking for when I looked for mpreg fic. I don't know why me on January 31st was looking for mpreg fics. It's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not necessarily surprised, but I'm not totally sure how I got there. I'd like to have a conversation with Comet from January 31st. Be like, so wait, what was happening? Oh my god. If that marks the end of January for you, I'm so tired. That's it.